While I want to focus my channel towards self-improvement for men and veterans, I believe the stories that are communicated to us help us perceive life from new and different points of view, and can shape our perceptions of where we want to go in life, our ethics, and our values. You've probably heard that before from your pastel-wearing English teacher advocating for the reading of books. Yet in this age, we must realize that value can be extracted from all sorts of storytelling mediums. The shows we watch, the games we play, and the graphic novels we read all have a part in shaping who we are, especially when we consume them at an early age. As someone who has grown up on male action heroes such as Batman, Indiana Jones, James Bond, and Han Solo, I have a very different perception of the values than my fiancé, who grew up on dark murder mystery shows and dance movies. Interesting combination, I know. This is why I want to discuss what can be learned from the stories that shaped me and communicate to you why the stories we tell matter. I would like to start off by talking about my favorite sitcom about 20 to 30 somethings making their way through dating, work, and life in New York City. How I Met Your Mother. I remember watching it long into the night in the latter half of high school when one of my friends recommended the show to me. The characters, the comedy, and the masterful storytelling, which is based on how we all tell stories to communicate our lives to each other, made it leagues ahead of anything I've seen before.
Emotions type, but with this, I just had to be a big enough person to admit that I need help. I guess this is what growing up feels like.
This is court-mandated therapy. You assaulted a woman.
The show is framed as an older Ted Mosby, whose voice is the late great Bob Saget, recounting his times as a young man, who's played by Josh Radnor, and the ups and downs that shaped who he needed to be to meet and fall in love with his kid's mother. It is interesting to note that the mother does not appear until the last season, but rather the show goes into detail about Ted and his friends trying to make it in both their personal relationships and professional purposes. And here's where we get to the point of this video. His two male best friends, Barney Stinson, played by Neil Patrick Harris, and Marshall Erickson, played by Jason Segel, are two forces that influence Ted's decisions throughout the show as they represent two distinct pathways we as men can take in our lives. Through the study of these three characters, the story we see unfold describes the different stages of masculinity that each man today goes through. Yes, I do know that Robin and Lily are a large part of Ted's life, but for the purpose of this video, I'm sticking to the two male best friends to describe how our bros make us who we are. Ted Mosby is the audience's vehicle. As technically the main protagonist, we are attached to his story of finding the one. We see him take on dating a variety of different women, all ultimately failing as he gets closer to the one he eventually ends up with. As previously stated, it is interesting to note that the show only leads up to the meeting of the mother, rather than tell the story that would describe the details of escalation of love, time, and trust that is needed to make a relationship like that work. The show focuses on all the failures and lessons learned by Ted that shape him into the man he needed to become in order to be the one that the mother falls in love with. At the conclusion of Season 9, he has gone through moments of heartbreak, happiness, periods of solitude, and instances of extraordinary happenings which can only be described as legendary. Yet he didn't go through life alone. His friends were there for him in the good times and bad, and his two bros had arguably more to do with shaping his life than the women he dated.
A girl is allowed to be crazy, as long as she is equally hot. You want a girl to be above this line. She'd stab me with a fork, then get a boob job. I should give her a call. Think of me.
Barney Stinson is not just a character, he is an idea. As dramatic as that sounds, his long list of catchphrases, his two real-life published books, and the way he is always seen in a suit and intertwining with an unrealistic amount of women make him such a profound character that many young men would probably aspire to be, including me at one point. He is the embodiment of freedom and excitement. His life's purpose of making every moment legend, wait for it, daring, is an attribute that all men seek to have. When we watch the antics he gets up to, while ludicrous, we admire his resolve to be in the moment and indulge in all that life has to offer. When I first saw this show, I aspired to be like him. I aspired to seize the day, which meant saying yes to my life and going out into the world, even if it meant going out alone. This lust for adventure made me the man who I am today and shaped me into someone who values the freedom that life can bring us. We can look within our own lives to see that the small mini adventures affect the plot of our own stories. And you can see throughout the show that despite Ted's negation, he takes on some of the characteristics that Barney has and uses it to grow, thus raising his value to the women he dates. The perfect example is in the episode where they lick the Liberty Bell in season 1. He realizes that the small adventures he goes on with him make him more of an interesting man.
Because we're here.
I had no idea how Barney redirected the cab without me knowing, but we got out, Dana let us in, and by God, we licked the Liberty Bell. And you know what it tastes like?
What?
Freedom. No, actually, it tastes like pennies.
We can look within our own lives to see that the small mini adventures affect the plot of our own stories. It can be as grand as getting a few friends together for a cruise, or just going to the bar alone and getting into a conversation with a stranger. Both of these activities steadily increase your social value and can lead to finding a high-value partner more than somebody who inhabits his comfort zone every day and lets life pass him by. While we should aspire for some of Barney Stinson's traits, we should also be cautious of his tendencies to slack responsibility. While he is always there for his friends, his fear of commitment is something that is already too present in the modern world.
We stayed in on a Friday night to watch Letterman and then slept together and didn't have sex. Oh my God, we're in a relationship.
This is because of a preconceived notion, in no small part advertised by Barney himself, that you give up your freedom when you enter a relationship. While it is most likely frowned upon by your partner to sleep with other women, if you find the right partner, you're not battling against her for your freedom, but rather yourself and your complacency. All of a sudden you've got relationship gut, you don't desire to hang out with others anymore, and you work a dead-end job because you need to at least provide some amount of money for your mediocre lifestyle. This is reflected when Barney and Robin first get together, and they end up looking horrendous as they let go of their values and get complacent in their relationship.
Which was pizza again?
Tails.
It was Tails.
So how can we live in the moment and go after our life's purpose while not being afraid to commit and nurture our relationships with our partners?
I'm Marshall Erickson, but you can call me Hercules!
Marshall Erickson, while they nerfed his stats in the middle of the series, is a true man we should all aspire to be. He not only goes after his dreams as a lawyer, but he fosters positive relationships among his family, friends, and especially his wife Lily. He perfectly balances his masculine purpose while providing for the community that he built. With the advent of people like Andrew Tate, our concept of masculinity is becoming twisted as we mistake our heroic purpose for being more self-serving and going our own way. As men are becoming more hostile towards women and choosing to be the lone wolf because they see concepts like marriage as part of the Matrix. However, Marshall provides the antithesis of those ideas. He is in touch with his emotions and loves his wife to the fullest, yet for the most part, until he has a son to take care of, he is right there with the other guys, living life to the fullest with his partner. He is also the toughest on the show as he is the only one to get into a fight and win during the course of the series.
Okay, I'm all warmed up. Let's do this thing. What happened?
This happened.
While I initially wanted to be like Barney Stinson, going out and not being tied down to any one single person too long and living life to the fullest, I realize now that following in the footsteps of Marshall brings a more fulfilling life. I still have very lofty ambitions that I want to pursue and conquer, but now I don't have to go through the trials and tribulations alone. Granted, my time must also be given to growing and being attentive to the relationship that I have, but like Marshall, it only helps to have someone in your corner cheering you on. Now, this video is not an advertisement for a man to go out and settle with the first one he sees. Like I said before, Ted is our vehicle as he navigates between the lifestyles of Barney and Marshall. We must balance these philosophies as we navigate our lives as men. When single, we can afford to act more on our own ideals as we meet with as many potential partners that pique our interest, and only settle when we join in a relationship. But when we are in a relationship, we must nurture our love for our partner, while nevertheless realizing and pursuing our own goals and purpose. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. If you want to hear more of my analysis on the things that I grew up with, then please subscribe to this channel. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.